When the Tetris trailer dropped, it lit the internet and social media on fire. As popular as, well, OG Tetris. In fact, when that trailer dropped, I was so caught up in the mania that I tried to get Tetris for my iPhone that day. But I still, even for now, I kept looking. I cannot find a quality app that matches the OG Gameboy experience. Even the one from the Tetris company itself, which is a major bummer, because when you watch this, you're like, I want to play some Tetris. And I guess that's commentary in and of itself, right? That you can't even play the game anymore the way it was originally, which in the way that made it so popular. But the trailer was so hot that you had to wonder why the movie wasn't releasing in theaters instead of Apple TV+. Well, when the movie starts out, you instantly understand why, because this movie is super cheap. At first, I was going to describe it as made with Scotch tape, but I also think saying it's the equivalent of an 8-bit movie is pretty appropriate, especially because large portions of the film are done in 8-bit animation. And while it's cute and clever initially, you're like, we're not going to keep doing this, are we, for the whole movie? And they're like, yes. I think they couldn't afford to not have to. It filled in a lot of the holes, unfortunately, budget-wise. So my excitement waned for a moment. I was like, I don't know if I can do a whole movie of this. Don't worry, it's mostly live action, but they keep dipping in and out of the 8-bit animation. And I was like, I don't know, man. Because every time it went to 8-bit animation, at least for me, it took away some of the fun. But thankfully, the story here of Tetris is so interesting and the performance is so good, it is still an excellent film that I really enjoyed and that held my attention. That's a big one these days, especially for stuff that you watch at home on streaming like this on Apple TV Plus. You know, are you gonna go to the phone? I did not. I kept my attention on the film. Sidebar though, I gotta go here. Henk Rogers, played by Taron Egerton, is a really interesting and inspiring guy. However, during the end credits of this movie, they showed pictures of the real Henk Rogers, and the guy's clearly part Indonesian. I think he's actually half Indonesian, half Holland, but he's definitely from Indonesia. I find it really shocking and unfortunate that in 2023, we're still casting white actors to play real-life people of color. And what that does is perpetuate the narrative that only straight white men can get stuff done, when the truth is that anyone can get stuff done. It's a possibility for anyone. And I think, there are lines in this movie where they're like, you try telling an American no. And that American in question, going around 1980s Russia in cowboy boots, was basically Indonesian is huge. That's a huge part of the story, and it would be so inspiring to so many people of color, young and old. It reminds me of that movie with Brendan Fraser and Harrison Ford, where Harrison Ford was playing a real-life Asian doctor. That was nuts, and we're still doing that? Russia has hardly any diversity to this day, making Rogers' success all the more impressive. And it also explains why he moved to Japan beforehand and was able to make real inroads there business-wise. Not exactly the fish out of water that he's painted as in this movie. Quite frankly, I'm surprised that Taron Egerton agreed to play someone who's clearly Indonesian. I'm sure he was excited to be in the Tetris movie, and he does an amazing job. But when they showed him the picture of the real Henk Rogers, I can't believe he didn't say, I have to decline the role. That guy's Indonesian. I just wanted to bring it up. I think it's definitely worth noting, and if you show this movie to anyone, you should point it out to them as well, because it's unfortunate. So let's go back to the movie. So Tetris the movie is produced by the Kingsman people, thus Taron Egerton. They also made Rocket Man, by the way. And it has the same edge and heart as the Kingsman movies, but even more so, the other fantastic film they made together, also based on a true story, Eddie the Eagle. What a great movie. Go watch Eddie the Eagle right now if you haven't seen it. Tetris is delightfully quirky, but because it's so low budget, it plays more like a series than a movie, but thankfully it doesn't overstay its welcome because it only has enough story for a movie. So it's like a very short series. It's like a series, it's one supersized episode. And you know what? That works. It's definitely a streaming movie. It would be hard to believe a story this crazy if it wasn't true. So what is the story? I don't want to give any spoilers away because the twists and turns are incredible. But just to give you the basic setup, this is not so much about the invention of Tetris. I loved also the ending. Oh, it's such a great movie. It's so great. But how an American managed to get the game out of Russia that did not want to let it go and into the hands of Japanese-owned Nintendo at just the right time. What a global story. What a global adventure. And also, maybe it would be hard to film a film like this, and that's why they did the 8-bit animation. A lot of establishing shots in 8-bit animation, which then switched, quite frankly, VFX animation. But if you like business discussions, and if you watch my videos, I know you do, it's absolutely amazing to see how Tetris came about at just the right time and helped totally change the video game industry thanks to its widespread appeal. So many contract discussions. I loved it. Oh, it was great. So much negotiations. Oh, I loved it. And this movie really highlights the entrepreneurial spirit that America is particularly famous for and that makes Shark Tank such a successful show. But you know what? That show originated in Japan before going to the UK and then eventually America. So again, it's really important to emphasize where these ideas come from to make sure that people understand we truly are having a global adventure. And the Russia stuff, oh, that's a lot of fun. Zany, bonkers, and truly terrifying. It's like comedic The Americans. I thought it was really good. I guess that's another reason it reminded me of a series. Despite getting points off for playing an Indonesian man, I gotta give him a foul. Otherwise, Egerton is great here. The best mustachioed cinematic presence since Henry Cavill. I think he was great. Really, Egerton is on a roll on Apple TV with this and Blackbird. Watch Blackbird. Oh, it's so good. For which he got some nominations, right? But Paul Walter Hauser actually won, and rightfully so. His performance is stronger, and also it's quirkier. Taron Egerton is the straight man, so to speak, in that series. But did anybody watch Blackbird? I mean, I hope that Taron Egerton gets called back up to the big league soon because he's just so personable and talented. This movie is really a one-man show, but I did enjoy in the cast seeing Anthony Boyle from the West End and Broadway's Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. I got the chance to see him live on Broadway, and I gotta support my fellow Slytherin. Video games are having a really great time in Hollywood right now. They're having a moment. Hopefully it lasts longer, but it's exciting. From The Last of Us to Nintendo everywhere, including this movie, and then even just, the story of Tetris. I think that's great. Fascinating and fun, not just for gamers, but even for us normies. Tetris the movie, in a way, is a lot like Tetris the game. It appeals to everyone. But does everyone have Apple TV Plus? I think not. But you should consider signing up if you haven't already, not only to watch this movie, but you can watch Blackbird, which I mentioned, the new season of Ted Lasso, Severance, it's coming back as well. It's going to be a major hit with season 2. You don't want to be behind. Bad Sisters, I really enjoyed that. Shrinking is cool. Why don't you have Apple TV? It's one of the cheapest streaming services, actually, and at this point, it has the content to make it worth the price. All right, so that's my review of Tetris hitting Apple TV Plus on Friday exclusively, March 31st. So I really think all that content I just gave you to watch, maybe Shrinking's a little on the line, but overall, that's some great stuff right there. All right, share your thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.